In May of 2019, we purchased our Tesla Model S 85D, which was manufactured in March of 2015, so it is now 10 years old. I made a video all about that purchase experience, which I will link to in a card above if you're interested in watching that. It was our second electric vehicle after our 2013 Nissan Leaf, which we purchased in February of 2018 as a commuter car for me to get to work, which it had enough range for. When we purchased our Model S on May 10th of 2019, it had 63,796 miles on the odometer, and at the end of May 9th, 2025, after owning the car for 6 years, it had 144,460 miles on the odometer. So we added 80,664 miles over 6 years, or 13,444 miles per year. The prior owner had put 16,000 miles per year on it, so we were pretty similar. Of those miles that we put on the car, a large portion of them were on many road trips, making awesome memories with our kids all over the United States, which you can see in this lifetime map from Teslafy, which is a third-party service that connects to the Tesla API and catalogs lots of information about the car. In my case, I did not sign up for Teslafy until after we had owned the car for about 7 months, so it doesn't show us driving it home from California or some other summer road trips that we did that year. Regardless, it is a good representation of where we have driven the Model S, at least for the last 5 years. Our Model S came with free unlimited supercharging, but in December of 2023, we purchased a Model Y long range and transferred our free unlimited supercharging over to the Model Y at that time. Because of this, we don't take our Model S on road trips anymore, but instead it's our primary around town car now. Because of that, we have not put nearly as many miles on it as we would have if we had not purchased the Model Y. For instance, over the first 1.75 years of owning our Model Y, we have put nearly 34,000 miles on it, driving as far south as Key West, Florida, and as far north as Jasper, Alberta, Canada. We have plans to drive to all the lower 48 states over 4 years, as well as all Canadian provinces that touch the US border. Next year will be our most ambitious trip yet, to the northeast, as far northeast as Nova Scotia. Then the next year, we'll do the Southwest, visiting all national parks that can be driven to. If Tesla has built out the supercharger network to Alaska by then we'll head there next. I've already published many of our Model S road trips here on my YouTube channel, and I'll put a card above to the Tesla road trip video playlist. I have many more road trip videos yet to be edited and published, so if you'd like to see those, then make sure to subscribe to be automatically notified when those videos publish. If you're interested in more information about the first year owning our Model Y, I'll put a card above to that video. But that's enough about our Model Y, since this video is about our Model S. Over the last 5 years of owning our Model S, I have made annual maintenance and ownership cost videos. So this video today is now my 6th update covering our ownership costs, which I'll get into momentarily. Since we're at the big 10-year milestone of this vehicle's existence, I will also do a brief review of all 10 years of maintenance, including what was done to the car prior to our ownership. I got some high-level information from a Tesla service rep, but they won't give any details about service performed to the vehicle while it was owned by the prior owner. For that reason, I don't have a dollar amount associated with all 10 years of maintenance costs, but the information from Tesla about the prior owner was all covered under warranty anyway. I'm sure that the prior owner went through several sets of tires over their time of ownership, which is by far the most expensive ownership cost. Our Model S is still running on its 2 original motors and original battery pack. The next question you're probably wondering is, what does the battery degradation look like? Well, as you can see, this is a battery degradation report in Teslafy, and so this has been tracking data since December 18th of 2019 when I started Teslafy, and I have it currently showing any charges above 50%, and then it's just tracking what the rated range was at that state of charge. Down below here, this is the odometer reading, and you can see the battery degradation at the various odometer readings. 77,000 miles is about where this was when I started, so keep that in mind. And so you can see the battery degradation just slowly meandering down over this time frame. And basically, if we jump here to the end, as of right now, our max range is 244 miles of rated range. Now, if we scroll down here, you can see I have my custom range set to 270 miles of range. Our Model S has 9.57% battery degradation. So we are basically at 90% of what it was when it was new, and we have about 146,000 miles on the car. So at this rate of battery degradation, we should be good to go for several 100,000 more miles, and even then the car will still be working, but other stuff will be breaking, maybe more door handles or trunk cinching mechanisms, etc. But as far as the battery is concerned, we're doing fine with battery degradation. This spreadsheet is showing all of the repairs that were made to our Model S when the vehicle was owned by the prior owner. Pretty much everything on this list would have been covered under warranty, except for right here where they do the LTE retrofit. They just said that it wasn't broken, but that they just wanted to upgrade from 3G to the LTE retrofit. So that's something they probably paid for, but the rest of this would have been under warranty. So I'm not going to go through this individually, just you can scan down this list and see the things that were done. And this was audibly told to me by a service representative. They couldn't tell me any of the details. They just said it had this done, it had this done, it had this done, and I took these notes of that information. So now if we jump over here, this is now the spreadsheet of once we started to own the vehicle. And so I was keeping track of everything that I did to the car. Now these are shaded here when it's all one visit, and that shading alternates with no shading. Now, as you look up here at the beginning, initially there was just some recall things going on, like they needed to replace the passenger airbag. There was a passenger handle that stopped popping out pretty much right away at the beginning when we first got the car. And apparently that was the last one to be replaced, and all three of the others had already been replaced from the prior owner. And then they said they needed to replace the door drain plugs. That's kind of a known issue. And then they programmed our second key fob, because when we picked up the car, they only had one key fob. So this is just a kind of all standard stuff there. And then here you can see that we had a taillight go out, so they replaced that. And then also they had found some wires were crossed in the door when it had been put back together at some point. And then we had an issue where the cinch motor failed, and so we had them replace that. And then they replaced the 12-volt battery, and all of this was pretty much in the first year. And then I also did some things myself here. This was replacing the windshield wipers and cabin air filter. Now, as you can see, all of these were covered under warranty up there. And then as we continue on down, this is where we had the first set of tires that we had installed on the car. Now, the first set of tires is usually the most expensive for a Tesla anyway, because you have to pay for the full tire. But after you get the second set of tires, then if you didn't get the miles on the mileage warranty of the prior set of tires, then at least in the case of Discount Tire, they will discount your next set of tires. So as you see, as we continue down through this, you'll see that the next set of tires, in my case, was often quite cheaper. In any case, as we continue down here, there was tire rotations, and then we had an issue with replacing the trunk cinching latch again. And also the navigation was not navigating, and so they came and did something on the computer and said that they maybe fixed it. Spoiler, they didn't fix it. And then down here, the motor of the driver's side sunroof was damaged and it got crooked, and so they had to replace that. And then they replaced a rear passenger regulator, and I don't even remember that being an issue, but I guess it's something they found. And then I had them replace the rear tail light because it had started getting dust on the inside. Spoiler, it actually came back and did it again, but now it's out of warranty, so I don't really care. It's got a little bit of dust inside the light. It's not a big deal. But since it was under warranty, I had them replace that. MCU firmware assistance. So this was still having issues with the MCU and the memory chip, so that was related. They tried to clear that to get that fixed. Tire rotation. So then down here they decided that we kept having all these MCU problems, so they just replaced the daughter board. And I was very hopeful that this would actually fix the problem, because we'd been having lots of problems before and it was still under warranty. So they did that, and spoiler, it didn't fix the problem. And then at this point they gave us a new key fob because the one of them that we had previously had just stopped working, and so it was under warranty. They just gave us a new one. And then our trunk cinching mechanism failed again. So that cinching mechanism has had many problems on that trunk. Now keep in mind, because it has the two rear facing seats and we use those regularly, that trunk maybe gets open more often on our particular car than other people's Model S's. I don't know, but it definitely has problems. So then there had been a little bit of a vibrating feel when you accelerate heavily, and I'd heard online that that was the lower steering link, so I pointed that out, and then so they replaced it under warranty. It wasn't like a deal breaker, like we could still drive the car just fine, and frankly it has come back. It's just an inferior design, so it still has this issue, but if I don't accelerate really heavily, I don't even notice, and I don't really need to accelerate heavily most of the time, so it's not a big deal. And so now that it's out of warranty, I haven't bothered to replace this again. So then they ended up replacing the panoramic glass with a second generation version. Now, incidentally, when they did this, it was louder afterwards, like the wind noise when you're driving down the freeway. So that's kind of annoying. I don't know why that is or if it can be fixed, but it's totally out of warranty now, so I'm not going to have them look at it, and I haven't really bothered to do anything about it myself. So tire rotation, and then when they did that work, the next time it rained, which was a little while later, I found that there was water coming in, and so I had to take them back in for that, and they replaced the drain plug and made it so it stopped dripping water on the inside of the car when the car got wet. And then at some point they replaced the rear upper links of the rear suspension. I don't even remember the details about that, but you can see here I had details in my notes. So then we have replaced the lug nuts. That's just something they did on their own. I didn't even ask for that. Front passenger door handle replaced. So this is the reversion of 2.5. So this had been replaced previously, and then they replaced it again. The door handles just are a problem, the way they were designed on this car, but they have improved the design. As you can see, this is Rev 2.5, and I'm happy to report that they've never had to replace any door handles since this time. So now we're in 2025, so it's been 4 years, and all the door handles have been working fine. So then I put in a new cabin air filter myself, which is very easy to do on my car. And then here we got a new set of tires. So this was $763, and I have notes over here about how far they went and stuff like that. But basically they gave us a $415 refund because of the mileage warranty of the previous set of tires not getting their full range or the mileage on them. So then I rotated the tires here. We had a nail in the rear tire, and the tires were still quite new, so they were able to just replace the one tire, and the tread was not very out of sync. So then I replaced the 12-volt battery. So this is when the vehicle was now out of warranty, and I replaced it with an OMU battery, which is an aftermarket lithium-ion battery rather than the traditional lead-acid battery that Tesla puts in. I got it for half price because I made a review video for my YouTube channel, and I'll put a card above to this video now if you'd like to go watch that. And it's now been 4 years since I installed this battery, and it's been working fine, no problems whatsoever. So I think it will go another 4 years based on my initial research. So then I had another problem with the MCU where it wasn't navigating, and so they did some work on that, and it didn't fix the problem ultimately. Tires rotated, and then here I got another set of tires. So those previous ones didn't last terribly well, but you can see I got some mileage reimbursement of $208 on this set of tires. And then we did another tire rotation, MCU2 upgrade. So now, after all of these prior problems with the MCU, this culminated in just deciding to upgrade to MCU2, which I then had to pay for, unfortunately, because it was out of warranty. I kind of wish that they could have just done this while I was under warranty initially, like earlier on, and they'd replaced the daughter board and all of that, but it got to this point where it stopped navigating, and that's very important. Like, we use navigation on our road trips a lot, and the MCU otherwise seemed to be working fine, but I just decided to bite the bullet and pay $1,800. I know many of other people that have said MCU2 is worth it, even if your MCU1 is working fine, you should just upgrade. I kind of disagree, but we do have an increased functionality. We can play newer games as an example, but we're not big into gaming, so we don't really care so much about that, but that's something we had to pay for. And that's actually the biggest thing that we've had to pay for, besides the cumulative cost of all the tires we've installed, of course. So then we had new windshield wipers here, tire rotation, new cabin air filter, tire rotation, and then trunk cinching mechanism failed yet again, but now it's under warranty. And also, in talking to Tesla, they said that they typically replace both the latch and the cinching mechanism, and they quoted me $362 for that. And I just said, hey, I'm just going to do the cinching mechanism, and if it doesn't fix the problem, then I'll come back and get the latch. So just the cinching mechanism was this $75. We discovered it was broken in the morning, and I went right to the Tesla service center. They had the cinching mechanism on the shelf, so I bought that and came home and just installed it myself. Their appointment was a month out, and I was like, no way do I want to deal with not having my trunk for a month. And also, the car was kind of hard to drive because it just wouldn't cinch. So the car thought it was open, and it was constantly beeping while you drove. Super annoying. But within just a couple of hours of it breaking, I had it replaced myself for $75. It's not that hard to do. And then new cabin air filter. So now we are caught up with all of the maintenance that we've done on this car, and you can see the total has come to $4,337. And we have put 82,000 miles on the car, but as it stands right now, the car has 146,095 miles on the odometer. And so there's a couple of tallies down here I just wanted to share with you that I think are interesting. So we spent a total of $2,024 just on tires. The last time we had a new set of tires installed was here on June 1st of 2022. That was over 3 years ago. These are the Michelin Cross Climate 2 tires. And prior to that, the tires were lasting about a year, maybe a year and a half at most. And we now have 28,000 miles on these tires. So we don't use the car as much now that we have the Model Y, so that's part of the reason why the time has been longer. But still, 28,000 miles is longer than some of the other tires that we have. After saying that we haven't been driving the car as much, I got to wondering, well, how much have we been driving the car per year? So here you can see the ending odometer reading every year and then the miles that year. So we were putting around 17 to 12,000 miles per year on the car, which a lot of that was road trips each of those years. And then you can see here in 2024, that was the first complete year where we had the Model Y, because we got the Model Y in December of 2023. And so the mileage dropped in half on the Model S. And then now this year, we haven't finished the year yet, but we're half again as much. We'll maybe get up to 4,000 by the end of the year. So a part of the reason for that is because we were driving the Model Y quite a lot at the beginning of 2025 as we were wearing down its tires, because I knew we were going to need to replace the tires before going on our big summer road trip going up to the Canadian Rockies. And so I wanted to maximize the use of those tires until we had to replace them. So I've been very happy with the tires, and I've had them rotated somewhat recently, and Discount Tire said, hey, one more 30-second to go, and then bring them in and we'll replace them, and then you'll get the mileage warranty and new set of tires. So just keep in mind, we're due to have to pay for another set of tires fairly soon, and then this number will jump up. The mileage warranty on the Cross Climate 2 tires is 60,000, and we're about to get half of that, which is par for the course, I would say. So in any case, I don't think we'll have to pay the full price. It'll maybe be around $600, but that'll be in next year's video. And if we look at the maintenance cost per mile over the 6 years that we've owned the car, including the MCU2 upgrade, it's been 5 cents per mile. The cost per mile of just tires is 2 cents per mile. And then the cost of all the regular maintenance except for the 12-volt battery and the MCU2 upgrade is $2,200. Now I left those two out because I was trying to figure out what the average cost would be for what the owner previous to us would have had to pay. So the next line down is the cost per mile for all maintenance, including everything on the prior line. So estimating for the prior owner, so that's 3 cents per mile. No, so now estimated cost of general maintenance the prior owner likely paid. So I took that 3 cents per mile and multiplied it by the 63,000 miles that they had put on the car. So they would have probably paid somewhere around $1,707 of maintenance while they owned it. So then the estimated cost of all maintenance over 10 years is now $6,044. And so that's an estimated cost per mile to operate over 10 years, 4 cents per mile to drive 146,000 miles. Now, obviously the cost to operate a car varies dramatically all over. So this is just my data point of this car, but I will say this is very low in my experience owning cars. And if you go out and Google it, you'll see there's plenty of anecdotes of maintenance and repair costs being significantly higher than this. Keep in mind that obviously this does not include insurance, which is another cost, but insurance varies dramatically by the user and their history and their age and factors. So I didn't include that, but in our case, the insurance cost is not that much different than other cars we've owned. And then the other thing to consider is this does not include electricity to power it down the road. Now, we use the free supercharging significantly on road trips, of course, but with this car, we primarily charged it at home when we weren't on a road trip. But at home, we have solar panels, and we have the solar panels paid for, and even they have broken even on what they cost to install. And I've made many videos about that in the past, and I can put a card above to that. In any case, we get free electricity at home from our solar panels, and we get free supercharging. And then there have been times where we've charged at hotels, but that's kind of built into the cost of the paying for the hotel, or friends or families' homes, and we've often offered to pay them for the electricity, and they've always declined. So we've literally never had to pay for electricity for the Model S to drive the whole time we've had it. And so that pretty much wraps up everything that we've spent on the car and everything that's been done to it. And keep in mind, the car has never left us stranded. It has always worked. These are just mostly accessories and things that would be nice to have, but we can still drive every time we've had to have the car worked on. In the 10 years since our Model S was built, Tesla has improved their vehicles in a multitude of ways. For instance, the door handles of the Model Y and 3 don't pop out, so they're less likely to break. They have also improved the design of the door handle pop-out mechanism on the Model S, so they're more reliable. I hope this has been more helpful to see, at least in one specific use case, how well our Model S has held up and what it has cost us. If you don't already have at least one electric vehicle in your household, then I highly recommend one. If you are in the market for a brand new Tesla, feel free to use my referral code in the description below to get a discount. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.